اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والقاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره مقداره العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما. الحمد لله رب العالمين. أفضل الصلاة وتم تسليما على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. ورضي الله تعالى عن السادة التابعين وعلماء عاملين وأئمة أربع مجتهدين مقلديهم إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Can everyone hear me? Okay, you can't hear me. Okay. Um, what about now? Can anyone hear me? Can I be heard now? Assalamu alaikum. Can everyone hear me now? All right. What about now? All right. So alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. We are okay, another the soul. This is the Soullutionz podcast, having a discussion, presenting a discussion on the current reality of single parent Muslim homes. I'm one of your hosts, Imam Muhammad Abdullah Ameen, along with Amir Khalil, Abdullahi, and Imam Malik Robinson, and Brother Saleh, Abdul Mujeeb. In this discussion may go into a few other different topics that we may have already spoke about in previous podcasts, previous discussions that we had. It may veer off into certain topics that we had. However, the all of it is interrelated. Sometimes you have to look at the fact that what is meant by uh, a single parent Muslim household, right? And there's a few narratives that take place as a result of that coming into being. One one narrative is that a couple that married and they have children, and a divorce or separation takes place to where um, the wife has all the children, or the husband has all the children, or they co-parent. In reality, because of the co-parenting, that's two separate single parent homes. Like on the weekend, uh, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the ex husband or the current husband that you're separated from may have the children. Them being with him, he's a single father. Well, what I'm saying, he's if they're divorced, then he's a single father, and they go after his days and nights, they go to back to the mother, and while they with her, she's a single mother. Single because now that they're divorced, so still they're co-parenting, right? That's an indication that something can take place like that. Why it can come into existence. Also, it can come into existence by um, being affected by uh, having children out of wedlock, or related to the Xenon culture. That's possible as well, simply because the person is not married, or the people, or the man is not married, or the woman is not married, and they have these children. It's still Muslim children, because you're raising, even though they're out of wedlock, you're still raising them to be Muslim. So still, that is a Muslim household. But the reality, this reality exists in our time more so now in this generation than it existed in generations before. Like when I was coming up, this was something that was not heard of. A single parent Muslim household. This was something that was not heard of at all. It was a reality that didn't exist. Now it's a reality. Um, it's an existing reality now, and it's not really uh, a topic to where, you know what I'm saying, we're bashing the validity of the qualifications of neither parent. We're trying to want to bring about a solution and relate to end this type of lifestyle, because this is not the lifestyle that Islam promotes. Islam does not promote single parent Muslim household. Islam does not promote that. Islam promotes marriage. Islam promotes family. Islam promotes Jamaat community. Islam promotes everything that related to collectivity than to individuality. Right? No matter what the topic or the science is related to, or the way of life in Islam that, you know what I'm saying, that we're living in, it promotes uh, communal um, communal action, communal um, lifestyle. That's what Islam promotes. Islam does not promote individuality, right? One of the things that happens as a result of individuality is that the the sheep, the lonely sheep that strays away gets devoured by the wolf, right? So in Islam, um, we don't. Islam doesn't promote uh, for any of us to go out on our own. Islam only promotes us being collective, having collectivity. Um, Now, because this is a reality that we're living in now, there's a few things that have to have to give some attention, to the point to where the community is still needed to engage and to intervene in helping and the rearing and the raising of children single from home, and promote marriage, encouraging of marriage, so that the children won't live in this reality of having a single. Sometimes with some of us, is not important. It's not important for a man to be in the house, right? I mean, there isn't some of us not important for a woman to be in the house, right? We have this step type of mentality, when in reality, Islam doesn't promote stepmom and stepdad. Islam promotes family. So if you married to a woman and she has children, right? Sometimes the children can be given to the previous husband, if there was a previous husband that existed, or the children are with the mother, and they're not from a husband. That leaves a certain dynamic to where, okay, these children may not be um, children that are in wedlock, but they still need a father figure, or on the opposite, of reverse side. The brother may have children, and he's just so happened to get them, but they're out of wedlock too. They have a mother, but they're not with the mother; they're with the father. So in the case like that, these children still have a right not to be motherless as well. You know what I'm saying? So um you have uh you have certain certain things that exist as a communal effort to where in the Jamaat, everyone involved. I remember back in the day, they used to say it takes a village to raise a child, right? It takes a village to raise a village of children. What that means, everyone know each other, everyone has the same set of moral values, everyone is always a willing helping hand that is available, and that, what I'm saying, this is the children are not strangers to each other, nor are they strangers to any of the adults in the community, right? This boy talking in his sleep. Yeah, so that's, you want to chime in, Abdul Mujeeb?
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmeen. Um, question, question for you, Abu Muhammad. We can make it a little dialect until everybody tune in. I see, as everyone see that our topic is talking about, what is it, raising children in a single Muslim family, in a single Muslim home. In the society today, as we see it, how detrimental is it, right? Because we see our women, the majority of when our women, just say if our women have daughters, right? The least of their concerns, or even the most of their concerns, is that that the child doesn't practice and maybe have children out of wedlock, right? So the question for you, Abu Muhammad, would be: how detrimental is it for raising young Muslim men in single family homes in the inner cities, such as the Philadelphias, the Baltimores, the DCs, the New York cities, the Chicago's, the Detroit, stuff like that, where Islam is there, but along with Islam being there, the streets play a major role in these children's lives. How devastating is that?
The question is, how devastating is the question you asked was, how devastating is raising young Muslim boys in a single parent home, in a single parent Muslim home, when the streets being a factor. How difficult is it?
Yeah, how difficult is it?
Well, it depends. Wait a minute, hold on.
I'm while he's out, I'm gonna give him, my oh, he's back. Go ahead, you go ahead, say your point, and then I'll say mine.
All right, so it depends on how the young man is being raised and who is raising him. I mean, the mother who's raising them may be strong in her Islam, strong in her Deen, to where, I'm saying, she may need a little bit of help, but she really got things under control. Um, well, she really got things under control. Um, however, the same the same obstacles that she'll be faced with is children. Her son may go to a private school, or may go to a public school, and then the street gangs. Depending on where you at, I can't speak for Jersey and Philadelphia and New York, but in Chicago, depending on the era of time, you have street tribes, street organizations that draw the attention of the male child, or you have the cliques, the neighborhood street cliques that may draw his attention as well. Now, if he's not actively engaged in if that young man is not actually engaged in the Islamic community, which 9 times out of 10 is depending on where they are, they may or may not be, then it's very difficult. However, on the flip side of that, you have uh, single mothers who get that have gotten their children involved in the Muslim community, to where, yeah, even though she's raising them single handedly, but they're engaged in the programs. They going to classes. They're going to the masjid for Jumu'ah. They're going to Taleems on Sunday and Wednesday. I mean, so where they're in the streets as well, because the neighborhood which they live in is surrounded by a particular street organization, a street gang, right? So they're being influenced by both. So even though she still has the heart, but she's doing a concerted effort to get them involved in the community. Same thing with a father, right? You know, so a father who's raising his raising girls, right? Young women, right? He's faced with the same dilemma. All, you know, so also the fact that he would have to let go whatever biases that he may have, and connect them with the sisters that he may feel comfortable with, them being in their company, at the same time actively engaged in learning in the household, which he's going to have a hard time as well. He may even have a hard time with his sons too. But however, with men, it's a little bit different, because what we provide and what we give for our children, we teach them to have selfless love. We give them a sense of direction. We give them a sense of order, and we establish a sense of structure. We establish some structure with them, right? However, with a single mom, she may have her order and structure may have came from her rearing and upbringing, to where even though it may have been hard, but she has that to pass on to the children. So that's my take on it. Hold on.
Now, Imam Khalil, assalamu alaikum Abdullah. What's going on, Habibi? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You, you. You might have to reset it and turn it back on. It's still muted. Okay, so I'm gonna piggyback y'all. The reason why I asked that question, right? Because if we look at our audience now, a lot of our audience is in the tri-state areas, such as the Philadelphia, the New York, New Jersey region, and Islam is kind of Islam is kind of, in the words of the of Sister Jada Pinkett, you know, at the time of her roundtable, she said, spoke about what's the word I'm looking for? Entanglement. The streets in Islam has an entanglement, right? And I asked that because, as Abu Muhammad said, he said something very valuable. He said something about structure. If we look at the generation now, like before the '90s really hit, right? Because I think it really stopped in the '80s when structure was around, when mothers was older than the norm, right? Because now, if you look at mothers now, a grandmother is close to, well, alaikum salam to law. A grandmother is almost 33. A grandmother, right? A grandmother is in a range bracket between 33 and 30s. To the youngest, 33 to about 37. You know what I mean? Like the youngest grandmother, right? So I say that because structure kind of deteriorated after the 90s came, where mothers were still old. Mothers made you get up and clean up right early. You didn't clean up, that was your butt, Mr. Postman, right? You had to clean up, at a certain time. It had to have it done by a certain time, right? They made sure that the girls in the house knew how to clean properly. The girls knew how to cook. The girls knew how to wash clothes. These are the things, right? And the young men had to make sure y'all can't be out hanging out all late. You gotta. What was the thing back there? You had to be in when the street lights came on. That's how we knew time. When that street light came on, it was time. And, and everyone, it wasn't like, oh, you corny for not you corny for not saying that. No, you knew when them street lights came on, it's time to go, right? Or if you had a decent block where you could still be outside right there in front of the house where everybody could see you and still to a certain amount of time because you had to get up for school. So structure was always there. Now, if we think about the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, just speaking of one narration of it where that, the mothers would be raising, their masters. We look at it now, the kids dictate what's going on. Did y'all see the new one? Did any of y'all see the new
The
did
new
you
what?
Did you see the new rail? The rail with the young girl said the dad didn't take us to the park, so I deleted 2K off his Xbox, and then she turned around. Got the little song, "Your love is toxic." You know that one that they doing right now.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like, dang, like the kid knows like he ain't gonna do this for me, so I'm about to. The kid knows how to be spiteful, right?
Right,
You wouldn't, in my generation, you would have never thought about doing something like that to mommy or daddy.
right.
Oh, my mom ain't take me to the joint. I'ma hide all her sneakers or something like that, or all her shoes. You would have hit them shoes, and you would have been beat from today to tomorrow to the next week. You
Right,
get what
right.
I'm saying? So structure left. But going back to what I was saying, yes, I think it's very detrimental now because our young men, right? We was dying, and but we was dying, and the violence was around, but the violence was called for. Like we had it was, as go back to Abu Muhammad said, it was just structure all around that they know. Some of the drug dealers know you. Ain't you what you call, son? You ain't out here. Go out here. You can't be out here. The drug
Yo,
dealers will make the kids leave the
that
corner.
bro, that died in the 80s, 90s.
That,
But
that's what I said. I'm the last of the
I
generation.
want to
Our
throw
generation, the last of the generation.
I
You
want to
Well,
throw
know.
well,
y'all for
well,
a loop, man.
also remember, I don't know if y'all remember, they was talking about babies having babies. Well, baby, we're gonna say what they characterize as babies have been having babies since the 40s, right? Since the 30s and the
That
40s
that
they was
that
having
was the whole
babies.
baby boomers.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So, and
yeah.
the 50s, that's the baby boomers. You know what I mean? So anyone
Hmm.
born in the 50s, they're baby boomers. You know what I mean? So the thing is that it was even during that, there was still some type of structure that existed. Right. Like I remember my uncle telling me when he was going to school that the Black Keystone Rangers used to like catch the little kids going to school and take their lunch money and stuff. Take their money so they, go to the candy store. So he had played a trick on him, right? So the trick he played on him is that he had already went to get his candy and stuff the night before he go to school. So then when they had caught up with him. One of them was like, "Oh, ain't that so talking about?" They was talking about my Umi. It was like, "Ain't that so and so little brother?" Leave him alone. That's so and so little brother. So his homies, I mean, they had already took their stuff, but they ain't bother his. I mean, so when I was growing up, um, they shut the whole. I think they had. This is when I was staying in Inglewood. They had shut the whole school down because the Stones and the Disciples was going to be fighting on our plate, on not on our plate out, but on the parking lot where the teachers park their stuff at. You know what I'm saying? So even during that time, like this was like the 70s. It was like 78, 79. So they, you know what I'm saying, they had it was like they let us out like at 12:30, 1 o'clock or something like that, and made sure that we was gone. You follow what I'm saying? So you go into the 80s, the 80s was like more of a wilder period. You know, I'm talking about all over the cities. And during this time, it was like Masjid Omar. I mean, they had a lot of young Muslim brothers there because they had established that masjid in 1970, 1970, 1971. It was the first masjid in the Roseland area. Um, the masjid, I forgot the name of it, that Dawood Salahuddin Rahimullah from South Philly and Dr. Omar Farouk, they had formed the masjid, started the masjid in 72 in the Washington Heights area, which was also in the hundreds. During this time, they had the gangs was prevalent over there, so it was like the Muslims, they was more close knit, and they had and some of the single mothers that was there, they had programs for the children to be involved, and that's when I had mentioned about, you know what I'm saying, when you asked me about my perspective or my point, my view about what I think. I was actually talking about that particular time, even in Masjid Umar, the kids that's now in their 30s going into their 40s, they was kids, you know what I'm saying, in the 80s, late 80s. And the brothers that was like round, I was around in my generation, they, you know what I'm saying, there was some of them that got caught up, swooped up in the gang stuff too, but they was always connected to the masjid, to the point at one time the Amir of Masjid Umar used to have Four Corner Hustlers on his security. You know what I'm saying? Along with the other Muslim men that was on his security.
Mm. But this is the thing, guys. So I know I see the dynamics that we're discussing, how things happen in the past and stuff. There's two things that's missing from the newer culture. Right? It is even a culture shift when you start talking about single parents. Single parenting wasn't really like, I think y'all mentioned this early on. It's never been a thing that's been praised in Islam. Matter of fact, we're at a point now where a lot of a lot of our women are taking on the same mentality as men would take on with regards to men with children. It seems to me the undertone is that women would prefer, if he has children, that the children are not really involved. The father's not really involved with the kids like that. And if he does have kids, I really don't want no parts of them. I barely even want my own children. That's one thing that's like, today's time. I was looking at a hadith earlier uh, with regards to Jabir ibn Abdullah, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and he was explaining that when his father died, and there's also another thing is within Islam, you know, um, the father being more hands-on and active is Islamic. It's very Islamic, right? And why is that? Because of the fact that Allah placed that responsibility on. See, most of the time when we wanna quote about al-rijal qawwamuna 'ala nisa, most of the intent behind it is just basically someone to give you a paycheck, right? Most of the intent. But the first man, it says al-rijal, not a right? So the man is responsible. So that means the men in totality, father, uncle, grandfather, older brother. Jabir ibn Abdullah is a perfect example of this. So of what Rijal being a comb, right? His father, it starts off in the narration in the hadith. He says, my father died and left me seven, well, sab'a or tisa, the 7 or 9, right? Sisters or daughters, girls that I was responsible for. That, this is what the hadith says. It says 7 or 9. And so he seen the Prophet say something. He said, yo, I heard you got married. He said, yeah, Well, did you marry like a virgin girl, or did you marry someone who wasn't a virgin? And when you're alluding to a virgin girl, usually is more so you expect somebody who's younger and experienced. And a woman that's been married before, there's really no age limit on that. It's just that she's been married before. So anyway, So he told the Prophet, he said, I married a woman that's been married. And so then he said, well, why do you marry somebody, somebody younger, that you can laugh with, that y'all could play together, she can make you laugh, he can make her laugh, you know, and I mean, it can happen like that. So he said, well, my father died and left me with 7 or 9 girls. The exact number is debatable because there's narrations and the strength of the narration, etc. So he said, 7 or 9 girls. He's like, I didn't want to marry somebody younger that's gonna be just like them, so I married someone a little older, right? Now, what is displayed from this? It shows the responsibility of what men do. Men are responsible for, their offspring. And these weren't his children; these were his sisters. These was his sisters, right? And so him, getting married was, and the whole concept and our approach towards marriage is kind of like different. It's not the same of what Muslim marriage is about. Muslim marriage is about a few things. Number one, protect yourself from zina, right? First and foremost. You ain't a person, you may feel like you're on the verge of committing zina. You will take a wife or she will get married to a husband to protect herself from zina. Number two, the person might need, some sort of caring, right? And if you look at the ayat that's dealing with polygyny, the ayat is about justice. It's not about permissibility of marrying for women. It's actually about justice because the ayat starts off about marrying an orphan first. Marry the orphan, right? And if you can't be just to the orphan, then marry wives of free women, 2, 3, and 4. Why is that? Why is he telling you marry free women? Because free women has family. Orphans don't have the same backing that a free woman has, right? Then the sheltering or being taken care, being cared for, you know, all these things are purpose of marriage. Nowadays, people are actually reversed. It's reversed. It's not the way. It's not the way the Muslims. The Muslims are adapting the ideas of the kuffar. So we praise people for being single, and we condemn people for being married. Right now, this is the thing. When we want to condemn a thing, we know that comedy in this culture is used in order to make mockery, in order to provoke a person to change their position on a thing. Right. This is what most comedians did, political, whether it's Richard Pryor, so on and so forth, whoever the comedian is, right? They make a joke, people laugh about it, but they plant the seed in your head. Even Dave Chappelle was going on. He's one of the first men I've seen in this era defeat the cancel culture, right? But anyway, they throw these ideas out there through joking, right? Well, Muslims, we do the same exact thing. But what are we trying to cancel out? Are we actually trying to cancel out Islam? Because we're making mockery of a man or a woman who's been married more than once or twice, maybe even 3, 4 times. That's how we do. You know what I mean? We'll almost basically do everything except call a sister a 304 if she's been married multiple times.
Now to piggyback off of that, right? Just saying it now, like you said, it's shunned. Like, oh yeah, I've been married 3, 4 times, 5, 6. Just say even if you married 10, 15 times, right?
Right.
Before Islam, how many guys you slept with? How many women you slept?
That's what I'm saying. And people are offering their body count. Listen,
right.
There'll be situations where you'll have a man and a woman will have 10, 15 kids. Like myself, I got 18 children, right? All my children are Islam through Islam, right? So when people ask me how many children I got, and I say the number, they be saying like looking at it like I was just running around just like sleeping with a bunch of women. No, I was married to these women. You see what I'm saying? And on top of that, my children are in sets. I got a few, what I call stragglers. That's just my own terminology. I got my own stragglers, meaning like one child with the one mother, but most of my children are in groups. You understand what I'm saying? And so then people like, they get this this vibe like, oh, dude, I know every last one of my children. I know them by name. They know they siblings. It ain't no mystery child. You understand what I'm saying? So these type of things, and then people make jokes, ha ha ha, one of my in-laws, every time she see me, she always got, yeah, any more kids yet? No, I know you're not asking me like like you really care. You just like trying to be funny. You see what I'm saying? So we love to make mockery to a thing until the thing just disappears. It obliterates itself. That's the whole point. Haram police, right? That term was created to do what? To tell people to stop telling me about how to follow Islam. You see what I'm saying? And usually those people that have that attitude and that mindset about, okay, Haram police, chill out. Usually they want they want to do something that's against Islam. You understand what I'm saying? So back to single parenting now. We done made it its own culture. You see as an example of this is with the Prophet ﷺ with Jabir. He got married. He found a woman to marry to help him with his family, right? I think we done got to the point now. Brothers ain't getting married to help them with children, and most of the time, usually the women don't want to be done. And then you got the women who treat your children funny. You don't treat your children like her children, or and same thing with the men. Men, we dropped the ball for a long time
Man,
ourselves too, with regards to
now
that.
I gotta what's the word I'm looking for that? Uh, object that, right? Because before it was like that. Like I'm always with the before thing because there's a generation that was like that. Now it's to the point where these children now is that men we become a'udhu billah. A lot of us men, we come from a hypersexual background. We don't care if a sister got 5, 10 kids. The new thing is sisters say, "Oh, he take care of hers, but don't take care of mine." That's a lot of things that these sisters say now. Oh, he over there taking care of all her bunch of kids, but ain't taking care of his own.
Let,
Right?
let me let me interject to that, Sully.
Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna interject in that because the reality is it is. And I'm just giving it raw and uncut. It's almost like I'm just giving away the tapes. Them guys didn't get with that woman to take care of her kids. They don't care about them kids. Because when he leaves, the relationship is over with the children.
But that's what I'm saying. So let's talk in the reality with everything, right? Because we look at it like this, right? It was a marriage I was in before, right? And I and I
Right.
and I, and I asked her, she said, while I spoke to her, we was talking about co-wives and things like that, and I said, I would love to have children of my own in the future because I see your daughter and I care for your daughter, but when we divorce, you get a new husband, that's gonna stop. That's gonna
Right.
stop, and it's not gonna stop because of me. Old boy gonna say you can't see, even if I raised her for 5, 6 years, whatever. I can't see this little girl no more than I seen her when she was sick. I used to take her to school. I played with her. I did this. So now all of a sudden we divorced. You find brother Abdullah. Now it's, oh, you can't do nothing with her. So now
Right.
sometimes a man, a man doesn't care. A man going, some men, we have these nut dudes out here, absolutely. But men, we so traumatized to a degree sometimes that we love kids too. We like having things or being around things to where we didn't have before, right? So a guy would be involved with that, but now in this culture now is that from the '90s on now it was created that he ain't your dad. Don't you ain't gotta respect him. It was that he ain't your dad mentality. So now a lot of these kids, if you come into a household, these kids ain't gonna respect you because you ain't their dad. Right? They ain't and on top of that, like you said, that the woman may not treat your child that good like that, like she would treat hers, but expecting you to be good to some kids that don't even respect you. How can a man respect some kids or show respect to kids that kids don't respect him, and he's getting the backlash from the mother because now he's like and then let alone we have we're in the let's go back to the '90s to the to now is that we get in a lot of marriages now. These sisters got their joint clipped and burnt.
Well, that's because
It's
marriage now isn't about establishment of family. That was my point I was making.
Right.
We praise the single parent. She's not single. She's not like a single parent really by choice, even though majority of women praise themselves. You don't have no choice. If the father ain't involved, guess who's gonna raise that kid? The mom, no matter what the situation is. Now, sometimes this situation, anybody who know me and ever came to me, one thing I'll tell you, what sisters know, sisters can vouch for this. I'll take and get that man them kids. Well, he ain't got it. Don't worry about it. You ain't have a place either. And you found one, didn't you? Don't worry about it. You see what I'm saying? Stop making excuses for dudes to run around here without no connection to their children.
You know,
That's bottom line.
you know, I had a I ain't gonna say I had an analogy. From what I've seen, so, you know, so from what I've seen is that a lot of dudes, they had children with sisters, and they don't want nothing to do with the child if they ain't smashing the mother.
Right. If they ain't with the mom no more, they don't
Right.
want the child.
And they don't want the child. So they totally fine with knowing that they baby mom that got married, that man taking care of his child, that man doing, you know, taking care of the children that he have with his baby mom as well. So they you know what I'm saying, they don't, they make try to make problems because they really want to be nosy. One
Right.
thing, like in my experience, you know what I'm saying, many times that I've had stepchildren, is that if I done built the relationship with them stepchildren, right? And you know what I'm saying, I done pretty much put time in with them and raising them and teaching them.
Right.
If you know what I'm saying, if me and the mother divorces, I'm still accessible. I still make myself accessible to the children, right?
Right.
That's
Right.
not mine, my stepchildren. If they know, 9 times out of 10 they may not never contact me. Like you look at my Facebook page right now, right? I got
Mm-hmm.
plenty of my stepchildren that's on this, that my ex stepchildren that's on my page, right?
Right.
They, you
Right.
know, if they need to reach out to me, they'll reach out to me. If you know what I'm saying, if it's something that they need my help with, you know what I'm saying, I'm there for them. However, you know what I'm saying, that my relationship with them has nothing to do with what happened between me and their mother. You follow what I'm saying? And but see, that's just me. I come from a different generation. Got, you
But
know
this
what I'm saying?
is this, this is the thing to add to that. So
Guys now, they not really marrying women to build no relationship with their
nobody's
children.
building families no more.
I mean, ain't
It's
about.
just for the moment. That's what I'm saying.
But
But
how can you create families when, like I said, now is just, it's everyone, right? We
right.
don't know how to be wives and husbands, right?
That
You
ain't
know,
even an excuse. It's just like the ulama say, ignorance is not an excuse.
I'm not even speaking on just ignorance, right? I'm talking about the lack of compassion due to trauma experiences, right? Is that I'm my culture, right? I'm gonna say I seen, my generation seen your generation, right?
Right.
We observed your generation, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what it's like to be in a committed relationship, because what was cool from us, from what we seen from the elders, is that get money, you get money, you get the girls, lose your virginity when you as young as possible. Let's be real, that was our belief system. Lose your virginity as soon as possible, because if you ain't getting no yams, excuse my French, y'all, by the time of the particular age, you was corny in the circle. You still didn't
Right.
do what yet?
Right.
You right, right.
But
Get as
did
many
but
girls as you can, right?
uh
And every time you walk out that door, you better be fly to death. So we don't know
that
what
was
it's
a
like to be
culture
committed,
created though, Sheikh.
right?
That was a culture created. And the thing is that, you know, us as men, we have to, understand. And the thing is, it's still not even an excuse for none of us, is that we have to create the culture that we want for our children. Our children gonna fall in pocket. The biggest dilemma you'll ever have is that it depends on the type of or the woman or man. In both cases, I'm speaking of men and women, the kind of person you have children with.
Absolutely.
If you have children with a person, and people always like to point the finger, well, you had children. Look, man, nobody knew the outcome was gonna come out like this. But my case in point is, if you were married to the person, y'all had the children, y'all divorced, right? The thing that's important is what? Is that you set the culture as the male. In most indigenous, I don't like saying this, but it's the truth. And if it fit, wear it. If it don't fit, let it fly, right? But in most Islamic families, the male, the male, usually when the children are with the father, that's when they're praying and doing things. If the father's really on deen, right? If that the sister, usually things start to deteriorate, she starts to pick up different, because if she don't get married fast enough, you start seeing her niqab come off, then her hair starts showing, she got the baby hair bumping, lip gloss shining, you know what I'm saying? And so then so by the time, how she figures is, I'm gonna get serious when I get me a serious brother, right? This is usually the culture. If we set that trend, you have to think, the thing that we, most of the time, we judge our parenting skills based on what we can give children. We be like, y'all want to give them a life I ain't got. You ain't talking about, giving them a life that's just like separate from the whole street stuff and all that. Because deep down inside, most of us want our children to be thugs anyway.
Absolutely.
We want them to be thugs. We pump fake. We just want them to be thugs with education.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Because we still desire that. Like,
exactly.
What was told to me before, because one thing I've learned is that what I've learned is that you got to ask the right questions. The person to tell on themselves. Right. I ain't got to figure you out. I thought I asked you the right questions, you would tell me everything I need to know. All I got to do is ask it in a manner that's going to make you feel comfortable in telling me.
Right.
Right. So somebody told me before that they didn't want to Akbar Muhammad. So now I'm like, what? I'm from Jersey. I'm like, what's an Akbar Muhammad? Akbar Muhammad. He just super Muslim. I'm like, so what's not an Akbar Muhammad then? Right? Because if a practicing Muslim, we can still have fun, but I'm still praying. I'm still gonna fast, and the things you ain't gonna be able to do, but we can still do some things. But it's more things you ain't gonna be able to do. So what's the Akbar Muhammad? You get what I'm saying?
A smooth Abdul is not an Akbar Muhammad.
Right? So that was like, it's like
a smooth
on the low, we still desire that guy as I spoke about last week. You come outside looking like a ninja. He got skinny jeans on and a pushaisi mag with a pistol wrapped around in his carry bag.
Because that's what they want. We as men, and I repeat it again, because nobody runs our tribe except us. If you got a clash with your ex people's wife, whatever, man, that's a fight worth fighting. Establish your lineage, because most of the time, people aren't thinking about their tribe. They're not thinking about that. You understand what I'm saying? How you build a tribe? My seeds, remember Raekwon and Ghost? My seeds, marry his seed and marry his seed. That's how we keep the Wu-Tang money all up in the family. It's the truth. You strengthen the ties like that. Most people watch Game of Thrones. How do they strengthen the ties? Through marriage. Through marriage. We don't want our kids commencing that, but most of us love it. Most of it. Why do you let him get married? Don't do it. Most advice I hear from people when they talk to younger people, don't make the mistakes I did. What are you doing? You boo-hooing because you got your heart broke. I'm sorry. I hate to sound so callous, but that stuff, you got to get over it. Life moves on.
Oh, yeah. I say it all the time.
Life moves on.
Heartbreaks happen all the time. If you think that ain't no man going to break your heart, your husband ain't going to break your heart, and you're going to stop the whole world over because you... Look, life is full of things like that.
No, but that's just an excuse. Sometimes it's to victimize yourself, to make the excuse and justify the foolishness that you're doing. That's how you justify it. You understand what I'm saying? I'm telling you, I remember them days. You be like, yo, I never forget. I remember them days. I'm not gonna name names and things like that, but it was always a situation, regular basis, where a brother and sister was sleeping together. The brother didn't want to marry the sister put him out there, right? How she put him out there? Hey man, the brother such and such, so on and so forth, right? Brother and man, she giving the whole story. brother Imam, you know, and basically it's his fault, it's his fault, it's his fault. Did he rape you? No, but you know, he was very manipulative. Bro, you had to be along with him just as well. In real Sharia with the Hakim, they both would have got the Hadud. Ain't no one side. I'm gonna give a khutbah about the brother next week. You know, I never forget that. I never forget that episode that Imam was going on about the sisters that go to the clubs. You know, gotta watch the brothers that they marry. Wait, the sisters that's in the clubs gotta watch the brother. They ain't supposed to be in the club anyway. What the hell are you talking about? You see what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. It's accountability. We create a subculture. We have the sunnah. There's nothing else left to do but to follow it. But we make every excuse. My trauma, my heart been broken, my baby mama left me, my baby daddy left me. Bro, listen, I ain't let none of that get in the way of me practicing Allah Ta'ala's deen. There's no way. But where I came from and where I'm at now, bro, I'll fight like hell in order to practice the deen. Because I fought like hell for Jahiliyyah. I tore stuff up. Trust me, y'all wouldn't even believe who I am, like, for some of the stuff that I did for some kufr. So now I'm gonna fight like hell. I remember as a kid, I didn't even have kids at this time. I remember as a kid, I was like, yo, I can't wait to have sons, because then me and my sons, we're gonna run the block, we're gonna take the whole projects over. I had this in my mind. Then I became Muslim, alhamdulillah, and I started saying, inshallah, I want my children to be righteous Muslims, memorize the Quran, get married, not have a bunch of kids out of wedlock. That's when my mentality changed. But as long as we keep that half foot in and half foot out, we will never get nowhere. Matter of fact, to be honest with you, if you gotta have like this get down and lay down mentality. If the person ain't really trying to get down with the deen, I mean, we cool, we don't slap files, we can chop it up, but bro, I don't need your company all like that. Cause I was like that with my Kaffir homies. Yo, I love you. We put in work together, and nothing make a bond tighter than when y'all in a sticky situation together.
Huh.
And after a while, I was like, look,
homie, you get put in a sticky situation, you're gonna be the only one stuck to the podium.
Well, me and my homies rocked out, man. But when it was time,
I feel sorry for the
20-year-olds,
because they're going in there telling on everybody. But you're absolutely right, man. It's like, but we gotta value.
We get soft. Right? We getting soft, man.
Right. We gotta start valuing. Right. That all we got is us. Right. That all we got is us. You know.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute my mic and camera. I'm still on, but I gotta start driving.
You go ahead. You know, I told one brother, I said, you know, we got to start picking our spouses, right? Not just beyond looks, right? That if you can't visualize yourself every time you see your spouse, like, that's my baby, right? Remember, I spoke to you about that too, Abu Muhammad. These are things you shouldn't want, because now it's like we're getting them, and after that instant let's go away, we have nothing in common. You gotta really feel that this is who I want to be with attitude. And now we don't have that. We pick who we like at that moment. Oh, and you know, and that's not our fault. It's what society's creating. It's creating this social media. You know, social media created this, what this person is doing at the moment, right? This is why you have followers. This is why you get tags. This is why you know people like. This is why I gotta constantly display what I have. Like right now, right? We're in a culture now to the point where you probably can't even wear the same thing over again and take a picture, right? Because now they're like, oh, he's dirty, he's wearing the same outfit. But how do you know this person got 45 different shirts in the joint and he just like this outfit? Now it's just to the point where you got to be constantly doing something new. You got to be constantly doing this. So if you're not catching that person at that moment, then later on, we're treating relationships like trending topics, right? Oh, it's not that smart no more. Let me go to the next thing. What's hot right now? What's hot right now? Right? Like you even see Muslims talking about the what is the thing now? The chosen people. Right? So now we're talking. You got Muslims all into this Israelite stuff. So now it's like, okay, this is a new topic because of a rapper. Half of y'all don't even know when the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was born. But now you on a topic that you don't know nothing about because a rapper is talking about it. You don't even know what your practice. You don't even know your religion to the basis. If someone sit here and asks you what are the obligations of wudu, where can I find this ayat at, and recite the ayat to me in Arabic, we can't even do the bare minimum of these certain things. Right? And this is the problem we having. So how can we teach, our kids when we're as the Muslims, we following the non-Muslims to every little step of the way, and we treat what they say as if it's gold.
I mean, hey, Saleh, you ever notice we can't teach our kids, but we always quick to volunteer to teach a sister though.
What? I'm a say Alice. What you super sheikh then? You super sheikh then, right? It's crazy. But I think your wife said something very. Y'all wanted to say it, man. Can one of y'all read her comment? Her comment was very sharp, man. I liked it, but I didn't get a chance to say it. Was the long one. It was the real long one, right there. She quoted a hadith. She said, "We are fighting a deeper, more insidious war." I can't really use the word. It's small. I'm on my phone. Ibn Umar reported that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "The false Messiah will come upon the march of the what is that? Martyr Cornet." I hate these little translation joints. Most of those two who got okay, most of those who go out to him will be women until the man goes back to his wife, his mother, his daughter, his sister, and his aunt to shackle them tightly, fearing they will go out to him. Source Musnad of Ahmed ibn Hanbali radiyallahu anhu. Yeah,
I
that's
believe
deep.
we in that time right now.
We are, and it's social media, man.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
following
we are.
it.
Not only that, but so we have Muslims apostating left and right. I mean, you look at the behavior of individuals that normally eventually apostate from Islam. A lot of times they're not praying the five salah. They're not eating the biha halal. Um, they're engaged in fornication. They're engaged in dating culture. They engaged in other things that's cursed by Allah and His Messenger. The only thing that they have, only where else to go, but outside of Islam. After that, and so you look at, so when you hear about individuals that leave Islam, no one get no one gives any thought about what cause will lead up to that. They only look at the fact that, at this particular moment this person left Islam, right? So however, you look at the same type of outlook in raising our children. A lot of times the children are going to imitate what the parents do, even if the parents are not verbally or cordially teaching them. They're still learning, right? They're still learning from the actions and practice of the parents. That's how you able to tell. Like, say for example, you're able to tell if you send a child home, if anyone is praying in the home that you send them to, because when they come back to you, they either not gonna want to pray, or they only gonna want to pray because saying that's what you have established in your household. You know what I'm saying? So you have the time this time that we living in now. People are living in doubt. I remember when I was younger that a sheikh, he said, um, if there was 85 people who asked questions, then that mean that there was 85 doubters. I mean, 85 people was in doubt that asked questions. They was in doubt about it, because if you're not in doubt, then you're not gonna ask any questions. You know what I'm saying? Like right now. Brother has sent me a video. I mean, kind of broke my heart a little bit about Lupe Fiasco. All right, Lupe Fiasco, he openly apostated from Islam. However, however, he I know that he wasn't learning in Islam. Right, I know that. You know, I know how his upbringing was. I've been knowing him since he was a baby.
Yo, it got static. You repeat that one more time. You said brother send you what?
A brother sent me a brother sent me a video. I mean, with Lupe Fiasco having a discussion with a guy, and he had openly apostated from Islam. Right, you know what I'm saying. Now the thing is that I know his upbringing. I've been knowing him since he was like a baby. You follow what I'm saying? So I know he never really learned his deen to where he was sound in his creed, because a lot of the statements that he was making was due to the doubt of the Islamic Aqidah. You mean, and certain other stuff that he had mentioned, well, as it relates to Hadith and Quran and attributes of Allah, is that all of this stuff is due to doubt. You follow what I'm saying? Now, what I had explained is that he experiencing right now the same thing his father was experiencing 27 years ago. The only difference is that his father had men, and he kept inside of a circle of brothers who constantly reminded him, to the point that Allah Ta'ala, he eventually became an Imam, and he had died like maybe some years after that. You know what I'm saying? But in the case with Lupe Fiasco, he didn't have an Islamic circle to where he was consistently around people that would give him the reminder. You follow what I'm saying? So a lot of the stuff that he was saying, it wasn't a surprise to me. But you look at, and then I know a little bit of the history of his family as well, but how his father struggled with raising him and his siblings, and you know what I'm saying, in Islam to the best of his ability. You follow what I'm saying? Is an example of how despite how you bring your child up, at a certain point, if their affair is not right with Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, the result may eventually go this way. You follow me? Same thing with one of my former stepchildren. Went to Islamic school, memorized a third of the Quran, spoke Arabic, knew Arabic very well. He ended up becoming a teenager, an older young adult. He went to Hare Krishna, and then he left that again, and he came back to the Deen pseudo. And the reason why I said pseudo is because he took the belief, but he ain't put forth the practice.
You know, I just want to jump in on that. One thing, because you know, when it comes to family building, I think, you know, one thing we learn from, of course, ultimately we learn from Allah and His Messenger, but highlight on the relationship with Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. Prophet Ibrahim, you know, throughout his entire story throughout the Quran and the Hadith, you know, he showed you about how to deal with a parent that refuses to accept Islam, right? And that's like kind of hostile against you, right? He showed you about making hijrah, right? Not only did he show you about making hijrah, but also developing a place of safety for your women and children. A major contributing factor to our I'm not gonna call it failure because it only takes one time to succeed, truthfully. You know, but what I mean by this is that what contributes to where we're falling short is that we're not building an Islamic environment. And that first Islamic environment that we're building after the actual construct of a masjid or the establishment of where we're going to congregate at to pray is that we have to create Islamic homes. And a big thing, a lot of our youth and younger adults, you know, we don't even have a place to live. We don't even have that. We're lacking that. So to build this entire, you know, this thing, we kind of like almost have the American concept that we're gonna push our kids, put them in school, and they're gonna come out good Muslims. Schools don't educate, just like schools don't make Muslims, right? There's some madrasas that you got. It all depends on the director of that madrasa, right? And then nothing hurts more than you paying out all this money, and for your child to get educated in that particular madrasa, and then turn around and find out that they don't like your child because of their ethnicity, right? So like I said, schools don't really build the Muslim. It educates you on Islam and Islamic principle, but the Jamaat, being with that Jamaat, being with the community, you know, is what is needed, right? That's how the Prophet ﷺ built up the youth. So this is something that plays part. And I ain't mean to be so long winded. So to fuddle inshallah.
No, you're right, man. You're right. But I told you what I seen when I went to Al-Aqsa to pray is that it just rebuttals that, like, these schools. What can a school do for a young man, right? He's in an Islamic school, but he goes home. His mom come picks him up, looking like Shaniqua, and his dad is in the trenches, right? She come there knowing that on the masjid she Muslim, but come to the masjid, fanny pack hanging all over the place. You know what I mean? And expecting your son to get something out of it. But when he go home, you lit, you turned up, you drunk, you partying, you clubbing. It's not gonna help, and it's not gonna help anything. We gotta understand these streets, man. The streets is exactly what they is. They streets. How many of us gotta fall victim of it when we realize, like, yo, this is dangerous? Like, I'm just starting to see, like, a lot of these Philly moms now, they starting to stand up, oh, we need to help this gun violence stuff. It ain't gonna do nothing as long as we still pouring that in our kids' heart. It ain't gonna do nothing. That walking, that stomping, that yelling, that screaming. See, now you concerned when it's your, when your son, when little Abdullah got killed, and now you got to raise that money up to to pay for that janaza. Now you concerned. See, you was praising it when Philadelphia was the highest murder capital when it ain't your kids, right? Now you're getting older. Your kids, little Abdullah turned 20. He's a menace in this community. Now we care. We should have been caring about this stuff, right? Even when I see a lot of these imams, they don't even know how to tackle the issue anymore. You know why you don't know how to tackle the issue? Because you wasn't concerned about the issue until these kids got older and they're terrorizing the neighborhood. And now you don't know how to tackle it because now they have a title behind that, right? And a lot of these communities don't know how to tackle issues with titles behind it. So just some of these street organizations, right? Some of these street tribes. If you ain't come from a culture of street tribes, you can't tackle a situation that's where kids is part of street tribes now. They got names behind this. So how do you attack that? How do you attack that? And then they destroyed it even more by these street tribes because they took away the elders from the tribes. Now there's no structure. Now you just have a bunch of young kids claiming something that's destroying everything, that's angry and emotional, right? You're making these kids say, "Oh no, live in your emotions. You got a problem with this." No, you're creating weak men. These kids are emotional. You can't even sit them down and talk to them about situations. I'll pull him to the side, pull him to the side. You can't even talk to them about it because they're so emotional. They're killing each other because of then, like I said, and forgive us for praising or making it seem like it's praising something, but then, you had the times when men would kill men, women, men over women, but it wasn't high, it wasn't like that then. Now these men, these young boys will kill you over anything. You hurt their feelings, they're gonna kill you. Like, what's that little joint, that rail that they showing right now with the little young boy, the little baby, got the face paint like his tattoos, got the little scully on top. I'm gonna kill my mom, singing that song. That's not even funny. That's nothing to even laugh about, right? We don't take nothing serious until it hits our back door. But somebody can read that.
We teach our children to love Allah and His Deen. ultimately only Allah can guide and protect our children. We can give them all of the necessary tools, and they can still want the dunya if they do not have a sense of a sincere love and craving for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
What can I
That's
want to jump in on that?
yeah, I was getting ready to
Go
chime
ahead,
in.
do your thing. Go ahead, do your
All
thing.
right. Now, you know, saying now this right here, this statement is very true. All right, is very true. Um, Allah Ta'ala is the one who guides and protects. All right. One thing as parents that we don't that we don't instill as our raising and rearing the children, and the same thing as as we don't instill in our relationships as well, is to remove the ego, right? To remove the ego. I mean, like, and what I mean by that is that the ego, being ego driven, is that we have to realize that our children belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and given to us as a trust. So they don't belong to us. So our job is to make sure, even if we give them the necessary tools, we still have to make dua for them that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides them and protects them. The same thing with our spouses. Our spouses don't belong to us. They belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, we're placed on each other as a trust, as a covering, as a covering to where we, you know what I'm saying, we have to fulfill our obligation as it relates to them. All right. So we may give them the tools, they may see it visually, they may even learn from us formally. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already decreed their matter, right? We didn't decree it for them. Allah has. You know what I'm saying? Allah has decreed it for them. So, you know what I'm saying? So once we do our job, and then once they become mukallaf, it's not on us anymore. However, even though the actions that they may do as mukallaf, it still reflects. It's still, even though it's Allah Ta'ala created that action for them, it still reflects on the parent, right? It still reflects on the parent. You know, so still, and a lot of times the children are associated with the actions of their parents too. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember one time. Somebody from the street. I mean, from, you know what I'm saying, that knew my father from the street, called me by his nickname that he had. You know what I'm saying? And the only reason why I recognized the nickname is because I was explaining somebody explained the concept of the nickname to me. You mean, however, even though we was totally two different people, and we had, you know what I'm saying, our paths was the same but a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? It was still, I was still associated with that. You feel what I'm saying? So the thing is that even with our children, you know what I'm saying, just like people have some expectations of us, we, you know what I'm saying, the same type of expectations they have with us, they have with our children. So when we do our job, after our job is done, we don't have no response. We're not responsible anymore after that. They are. Right? They are. You know what I mean? Especially when they grow into men, they grow into women. The only purpose we serve at that point in time is continual in guidance and instruction. Whether they, you know, whether they decide to take the guidance and instruction from us or not, we still there to give it to them. You know what I'm
So
saying?
I want to jump in because I'm still driving around and stuff. So one thing I want to add in, right? First thing first. Ultimately, yes. At the end of the day, everything's with Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Secondly, the Prophet ﷺ put that responsibility on us. Each and every one of you are a shepherd, and you'll be questioned about those under your charge. The Imam al Ra'in, the Imam's a shepherd, and he'll be questioned about the people under his charge. The man is a shepherd, he'll be questioned about his family. The wife is a shepherd, she'll be questioned about her husband's family. The slave is a shepherd, they'll be questioned about their master's property. right? That's number one. I mean, and actually number two. The third thing is, if you look at some of the wisdom behind, I know some of you all probably heard this story where men came to Umar ibn Khattab and accused him of not fearing Allah, like it happened with the Prophet sallallahu, right? And Omar was ready to knock the bull head off, but he didn't just address Umar like he didn't say, Amir al-Mu'mineen, fear Allah. He said, Ya Ibn Khattab, right? So this is the thing. When the father's name connected to that child, it reminds that child of who he is, right? If you look at our situation, our children, the father's names aren't always connected to those children. Some of the children will never have the privilege of meeting their father, and that child develops the raft. That child be the envious child. That child sometimes be the misfit child, right? It's because we create these situations and put our children in. But the way to fix that is teach them and cultivate them in Islamic culture. Not just talk about it, create that environment for them. Teach them to walk into the bathroom with their left foot. Teach them to into the masjid with their right foot. Make the dua before they go into the bathroom. Making the dua after they come out of the bathroom. Eat with their right hand, right? If we do not implement Islamic culture, we will just be a people that keep spinning our wheels, and we'll be sitting down talking about that we might be connected to the lost tribe of Israel. That's what's happening. That self-hatred. We turn to everybody else to look for it. Allah has given us the deen. Take that deen, make it part of your everyday living. And then Allah will bless you from that point. And that's how you'll build your culture. That's how you'll build your tribe. That is it. If we keep using everything else, it's nothing but chaos and destruction. We're losing our young. Do you realize this? For every man that's being killed, that hasn't reached the age of 50, most of them are being killed by somebody 20 and under, right? So you just knocked off two people, 2 for 1. How you knock off 2 for 1? Well, you just killed the 40-year-old man. The 20-year-old man is going to jail for the rest of his life. He'll never see it. And then the next go around will be somebody younger that's going to knock off the crew. All right, alhamdulillah. Knock off the next one. Bro, we're under extinction. We don't even realize it. If you ain't getting killed by the police, you're getting killed by your own. And then when you finish killing, they're waiting to lock you up. Dudes don't even care about getting away no more. They're making videos of killing each other. They don't even care about getting away. They're showing you on the camera. So you got to think, we're in a bad spot. We have to get our minds together, our people together, our children, and we have to put some separation between us and our people. If we're not giving them no dawah, we need to make our own little enclave where we're off in our own little area where we'll have the influence on where we live at. We don't have that social influence. Our kids are being influenced by the neighborhoods that we live in. Most of our kids hate wearing those. They don't want to wear their pants, but they want their pants to be super tight. They want holes in the knees. Think about it. The more we make excuses, the more destruction we allow to terrorize our families. That's all I wanted to say to that.
That's true though, man. We gotta do what I said before, man. We gotta. One thing I give Islam credit for, like I said, they made it cool to be Muslim, right? They made it cool to be Muslim. It's okay to go outside, even if they try to go outside with the medium extra small shirt with the Yemeni izar. At least he got a Yemeni izar on. At least he got an izar on, right? At least he got that, right? But we got to get the street aspect out of that. We got to come to Islam wholeheartedly, right? As I said earlier, that Islam in the streets have an entanglement in the tri-state. It has an entanglement. It's just not Philly. If we look at what happened during Ramadan in New York City, the kids ran down on one of the opposite during Ramadan.
No, right during the Eid. Yep.
Right? So it's not just happening in Philly, it's happening everywhere. So the tri-state, it shows that the streets is, and Islam has an entanglement. We got to take the streets out. We need people that's going to say, yo, this ain't it. The streets ain't it, right? But what's messing us up that these young kids, what messed it up now that we a lot of us can't attack these young kids is that these young kids are seeing more money than the adults have ever seen in a lifetime, right? I give an example. I spoke to a young kid named a celebrity in Philly right now named Young Mook. I happened to see him in T-Mobile, and we just started talking. I broke the ice by talking about music because I seen who he was. I think I told you I seen who he was because everybody was around. I said, yo, he must be somebody because his entourage is like hovering over him, and he's just talking about a phone. And then I looked at their watches. I said, okay, they must be rappers. Somebody's a rapper. Who's the rapper? So I put it out there, and he came, so we started talking. But then I asked myself, yeah, his entourage is listening because they the guys who ain't got nothing, right? They gotta protect him to get something, right? So, but then I said to myself, I said, yo, what can I say to a young guy, even though I have all this wisdom? I was in the streets, I made money, I did this, I'm in my neighborhood, I'm relevant, right? But what can I say to a young boy who I did my background? This young boy got $1,000,000. What can I say to a young man with $1,000,000? I don't got $1,000,000. He look like, man, you old head, you broke, old head. Yeah, that's y'all slang, old head, you broke. But I'm like, yo, bro, I'm not that much older than you. I'm just putting you on game because these are the people. These are the people who you're gonna lead astray. That they're gonna die for you. Do you want to take that on? You want to have that on your brain later on in the future when your money run out? But then we have to think. What can we tell these young guys when these young guys just last year they was doing all type of fraud. They having $40,000 at one pop. They do it again with somebody else. Some of these young boys had $200,000 cash. Never seen it a day in their life. And then on top of that, getting another check for 1,000 here every week, 1,200 every week. They just started seeing money. So what can we say to some young guys who thought they had money now it's gone, right? So the only thing we can tell them about, yo, we don't want you to die. But what can we say when they living on the edge? Well, now he's riding, he's sliding on somebody, not because he ain't got it. Now that they killed 5 of his homies. Right? Oskino said something in one song. He said in one of these songs called Tales of a Hustler, right? Sorry for bringing Jahil in. He said, what do you say to a woman that lost her only son to the game and the gun? I said, mommy, I'm a ride for him. Right? Is that good enough, though? Is that good enough? Right? And especially with that attitude is gonna save our people? That the only idea you could come with, yeah, he killed my friend, I'm gonna rob for him, and it's an everlasting circle of violence. What can we do? What can we do? And like I said, some of us did the tri-state, we got the remedy, right? Islam is cool here. Now we got to make sure we eliminate that the streets is not what it is. The streets is corny. And we need thorough people to sit out there and stand up and say, yo, the streets is whack, bro. And if you in the streets, you whack. And don't be scared to tell the young boys that, and don't be scared of the consequences that's going to come behind it and say he corny. You corny, bro. You think being dead is cool? As Imam Khalil said, these young boys is filming themselves doing treacherous acts. You think that's cool? So it's cool to go to prison for the rest of your life. You got a baby, right? I remember I asked Ahmed, I think you was there too, man, Khalil. I said, yo, can you respect somebody coming up to you, man, and say, like, yo, we had to kill your son because your son was a rat? Can we respect that as a parent? What would you do if somebody said, yo, you used to be in the streets? You used to be in the streets. What can you say? If somebody walk up to you and say, yo, I had to kill your son was a rat. Would you respect it? And if not, then, we know that the streets ain't what it is. If you can't respect it, then as a parent, that's all I had to say.
All right, Quan, I got to get out of here, inshallah. May Allah Ta'ala bless y'all. I got to go, inshallah.
Inshallah, be safe out there at work, man.
Definitely, inshallah. Barakallahu
Get
fikum.
your closing argument. Get your closing statement first, man.
I think I already gave that closing statement, man. We got to start living this sunnah. We got to create a culture out of it. Sit back, stop. There's no other way we're going to do it. We're not giving anything to these kids other than jahiliyyah. We gotta give it in, and we gotta make marriage something that's great Stop taxing it, make it a financial discussion all the time, and make it about family. Make it about family. And we had to do step one. Establish where we praying at. Step two, establish knowledge for our family. Make knowledge be the identifying marker for our family, inshallah. You know, because that's all we got. The only thing we got is Islam. Outside of that, we're gonna be like everybody else. So with that, inshallah, Quran, forgive me for this week not being on my normal self. I'm on the move, you know.
Either we're gonna be wearing thobes or we're gonna be going outside looking like Dragon Ball Z characters pretty soon.
All right. Exactly. Huh? This is Nihilus. Okay. Now, inshallah. All right, I'm running around picking
Mama,
kids.
you can close it up if you want. You know, it's an hour and a half. You can close out.
So,
Do I?
alhamdulillah, it's decent. An hour and a half is fine. My club.
Make sure y'all share. Make sure you share.
Yeah, make sure you like, share, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Share it on your walls on Facebook. And we got to get a spot where you can where we can actually share it on Instagram as well. But my closing remark is pretty much, you know, like what Amir Khalil said, is let's make marriage obtainable great again. Let's make it easy, and let's make staying married. Let's normalize staying married. I mean, not marrying then divorce, marrying then divorce. I mean, and take our ego out of the situation. I mean, because as long as our marriages are ego driven, we're not ever gonna have any success. So inshallah, with that, I'm gonna close. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق وقاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق وهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره مقداره العظيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم. Ameen. Everyone have a good evening, and we'll see y'all next week, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.